Hello everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, starving artist. I say starving, not really, but just I've been losing weight this week on purpose. So I'm just eating less, spacing out my meals further between each other, not snacking between meals, trying to sort of balance, eating what I need and trying not to create too much of an insulin response so that I keep, insulin high or however it works where you're snacking between meals. Just like basically it's kind of intermittent fasting, not really the way people say to do it, but I'm like, I'm really disgusted with myself. I was doing so great and I gained a few pounds in the last however many weeks. So, put this further back. So I been really good about just not eating as much and losing weight. And just when I'm hungry, I'm like, good, this is exactly where I want to be. Man, I had a great experience today. Really, don't feel down on myself at all. This is me like first day in my life I've had a day like that. Really, because even other days where I had a good experience, and that's not true. I did have good ones, but like my writing wasn't as on point. Now, even though I still struggle with it, I finished my first of a series of writing classes that is sort of like it's taking very, very small pieces of writing and like trying to write for like complete clarity and organic story structure and or not even structure you'd say, but design or whatever. And it was like 8 weeks, and I worked really hard at it, and now it's done, and we have like a week and a half off until the next class. And even then, I'm working just as if I'm working on the same assignments, just as if I'm in class. So I wanted to make this video saying, how did I want to become a writer? And then I had this really, great experience today, or just great experiences in general today. Got up early, exercised, couldn't do it fully because of my ribs, but they're recovering. I fell off my bike the other week. I put JB Weld back on my bike because when I crashed my bike, I was taking a turn too hard and I had one hand on the steering wheel or to signal, and then I fell. Don't do that. It broke the JB Weld where it held the rear view mirror in place right where it's a good angle for me. And same with the little thing I have holding the camera. So I had to put him back in place and put a bunch of JB Weld on him the other night. So I'm glad about that. Got up early today, showered, exercised, didn't lie in bed past 3:45. Actually, I got up at like 3:40, I think. And I just had a great time. Well, first of all, I wrote really early in the morning, so it was good, like 8 to 10 o'clock or so. Struggling. This thing I was writing was really difficult to figure out. I'm like, damn, I get what my teacher was saying. It's like if you try and write certain things, I'm not getting into the specifics of it. It's just, it's a lot to explain. And I realize if I try and explain it, it sounds so insubstantial to someone who's not like just really, really into it and going and has been going through it for over a year now. Because that's how the first classes, well, when they started like about a year ago or more. And hard to believe. And anyway, so today I did the writing. I went to the March for Our Lives in downtown LA. I hesitate. It was a good event. Like, I don't like the reason it's that people feel it's necessary. It has to happen, or we all feel it's necessary. It has to happen, but it's against it. I don't even like saying the words, thinking about, but it's basically a march for our lives. Protect people, from these wild acts of violence, and that was a great experience. Even though, again, like great experience, like people, it's a horrible, horrible thing. I wish it didn't happen. I wish the March for Our Lives didn't even have to happen. I wish it was just something every day we take for granted that we're safe. But anyways, but that was as far as it goes. Good experience, and I hope helps cause some improvement and how things go. I don't even like saying that. It makes me, okay, here's the other thing. I didn't dissociate at all today. That was awesome. So I don't want to say anything that get my mind spinning, about negative subjects. But anyways, that was great. Got home. I was like, oh, I'm going to write. I wrote like a paragraph. And I'm like, oh, crap. Like, I don't have time to do much because I got to go. I knew I had to go see a movie. I was going to go see Looper at Braindead Studios. But I was like, oh, I thought I'd have more time. Then I'm like, oh yeah, it takes a few minutes for the lift to come here. It didn't. They came in like 2 minutes. But then I wanted to eat before the movie, and that takes a little while. There can be a line sometimes. So I got my one cheat meal of the week, a small personal pan pizza, and even after that I was starving. I was like, good. I saw Looper, and it was a great experience. I loved seeing Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the prosthetics to be like Bruce Willis, and just the whole experience sitting at Braindead Studios. I'm like, I loved it so much. I wanted to go straight back and watch. They have Collateral playing right now, the Michael Mann film with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. I'm like, man, I would have loved to stay around and see that. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I came home. I want to, not stay out too late. And right about now, I'd be enjoying the movie, but I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen this movie a lot of times. It's a great film. I love it. And I would love to see it now that I've been in LA, and it's a very LA film, and just see how do I feel about it now that I've, lived in LA, not seen nearly enough of it in the last 3 years I've lived here. But to see a movie that's set so much on the streets of LA and in pretty much all LA locations, some stages, but it's all set in LA at least. And I saw it when it came out in 2004. I was working at a movie theater. Didn't play at my theater, played at one across town in Arlington at AMC Courthouse. But I watched it there, and somehow we ended up having these huge vinyl posters for it at the boiler room at the theater I worked at in Ballston Mall. And I took one or two of those home. I think I could never hang them up, like they were too huge to put up anywhere, but they were awesome and high quality. I think maybe I did buy a smaller poster later. But anyway, so that was great, and I was so happy. I didn't even want to take a lift home. I just walked because it's not too far from my apartment. Well, I walked, and then I'm like, oh, it's going to be a few miles, so I got a scooter and rode it the rest of the way home. Anyways, that was really cool. But I want to talk about how did I want to become a writer, because I've been just thinking about this topic lately. I'm like, how incredible is this story? Just to me, not necessarily incredible to anyone else. I think it probably will be. But, it's just my opinion. And, it's just how I've just been thinking about it, because I'm like, just thinking about my how well writing is affecting me so much, and I never thought I'd be a writer. Not because I wanted to and didn't think I could do it. I didn't want to. I never really enjoyed it. I didn't want to write. I wrote short films and sketches and stuff for YouTube that mostly just weren't that good, but occasionally some got some good reactions. But it's like I was never quite that interested in it. Didn't know how to do it. Had no idea what the craft was to it. And so I'm really glad I did learn it, because even if I didn't write, if I was a director, how could a writer respect me if I had no clue of what they do? But anyway, so I'll get into it. So, to be clear, this was 2011. As I say this, it's 2022. I'm 37 now. When this happened, I was 26. I was still working part-time at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I started working only 3 days a week so I could do more videography. And I was doing videography for a fashion agency. Wasn't doing much YouTube at all, maybe one video a month. I didn't take it that seriously at the time. And I was 26, living with my parents, and met this girl and really liked her. And she seemed to be pretty into me. I'm like, damn, she's really cool. And we went out, had a great time, went to the county fair in Arlington. I even won her a prize, a Joker poster, throwing darts at balloons or something. And thought I'd see her again. And first of all, it didn't feel great afterwards because I was dissociating and I didn't know why I was I'm like, this is horrible, because if I go out with this girl, I'm going to be dissociating all the time. I can't feel anything. I'm like, I'm not going to be myself. I can't feel emotions, feel anything good. But and I didn't know what it was. You know, by this point, I still didn't know what a dissociative disorder was, or depersonalization derealization disorder. But but she also didn't get back to me after that. So like I, texted her. I thought like a follow up, and she never got back to me, and it was really hurtful. But well, first of all, two things. Like, I couldn't be upset at her at all. I'm like, well, she doesn't want to, see me again. That's fine. But also, by this point, I was getting a little more mature about, like with my view about these things, and it just didn't make me all horribly upset. I'm like, well, got to keep going. It was very upsetting. It hurt a lot for like 2 weeks, and after that, I was kind of okay. But the fear of dissociating again and relapsing was real, and I ended up relapsing really hard. That was excruciating. But anyway, a different story. That was a few months later. So in that 2 weeks when I was really hurting, I was struggling to have anything good to have, because just I was so consumed by negativity. I didn't have much good going for me. Yes, I was working hard on videos and stuff, not as hard as I could have, but what really bothered me was I'm not being myself. Like, I'm not telling the stories I really want to. And that bothered me, because it's like, I don't know quite how to explain it, but if like I can't, give myself for real, it's like I don't want to be giving my fake self, and here's a person I want to be real with. And like I said, I was working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. The parking lot had a specific look. It didn't look like a regular parking lot, like a square one. It was like kind of like this weird shape of like straight in the back, and then it kind of craggly and narrow and kind of went out onto the street. Horrible traffic patterns in Tyson's Corner in Virginia, where I was working. The parking lot since changed a lot. I went back there once or twice to rent a car later. Changed totally. But when I was thinking about, how I just really want to tell stories for real and make movies, and I was always holding back because of this fear, and I didn't know how to do it. And I was so disconnected, so troubled, so plagued by so many troubles, aside from the dissociative disorder and depression. I had this strong image that was so evocative for me of a guy sitting at the end of the wash bay in the parking lot crying. And with the back of the parking lot where it funneled out onto the street in sort of out of focus and the wind blowing. And that image I wanted to make into a movie, but I had no idea how to write. And I did, what totally understandable, but it's like, it's such a lame thing to do, which is ask someone else to write it. Like, hey, I have these ideas, can you write this? Like, I knew they were a screenwriter, not a professional one, but like someone who was interested in it and had written stuff. And they never ended up doing it, which totally they should not have. Like, there's no reason to write someone else's story like that. But it was part of my little. That was the first little, on the atomic level, or the single cell organism. Coming to starting life in the soup of Earth 4 billion years ago. That was that first idea. A guy sitting at the end of a parking lot crying. Just that image. It's not that I sat there and did that. That image came to me, and it was so strong. But like I said, the guy I knew didn't write that. A few months went by, and I was kind of always again paralyzed by this fear. I don't think I went out with another girl again for like the next year. And then I had a huge relapse of my dissociative disorder while I was in Atlanta, Georgia, in a hotel room. It still makes me uncomfortable to think about that feeling I had of like, oh no, it's happening again. I was able to just barely get through the rest of the week I had to film in Atlanta, pleading with God not to destroy me, because I thought for sure, like, this is it, my life is gone. And for the next 9 months, I was horribly, horribly disabled. Eventually, I got better. Took another year to be able to sleep well. Had all kinds of problems. Lived in Annandale. Was broke all the time. Was a bouncer. Anyways, while I was a bouncer, so this is years going by, and I still had not wanted to become a writer yet. But anyways, I was still making videos, and by this point I was making a lot of YouTube videos, hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds, and videos with my mom now. Back then I made a handful of videos with my mom, that's it. I was trying to make short films and stuff. I wasn't trying to build a career on my mom's videos. But it was, I think, 2017. So I had been working as a bouncer in bars for a few years. And something I was subconsciously doing was sort of like trying to kill my dream of being a filmmaker. Not really wanting to do it, and I never could. It's too strong. It would keep creeping up on me even stronger once I cleared my eyes and was like, whoa, I want to be a filmmaker. Like, I can never let go of this dream. It's not that I was trying to quit, it's that I couldn't. And I was doing videos like every single day pretty much. Like I was making videos 7 days a week a lot of times. But still just, like getting closer to doing what I actually want. But I realized I wasn't being my full self. I wasn't going for the stories that would really move people. And where I felt like there was nothing between me and failure. Whereas before it's like, oh, I set down this, barrier between me and failure, where it's like, I can't really fail because I'm not trying at this. But I didn't want to be a writer. I had no inkling of it, no thought of it. I had been already subscribed to the Film Courage YouTube channel where they interview screenwriters and give in-depth hours, multiple, sometimes 4-hour long interviews with people who work in film. But I never looked at the videos because I'm like, I don't know who these people are for the most part. I didn't realize not all screenwriters are incredibly famous. That was how foolish I was. Not all incredibly successful screenwriters even are famous. Anyways, I have my tea here, my green tea. Damn, that's good. I don't remember when exactly, how, but that image of a guy sitting at the end of a parking lot crying, it just kept creeping up around me until it enveloped me all over. And I'm like, I want to write that movie now. I want to actually, now I want to, be myself. And that's when I wanted to become a writer. But it wasn't like a single moment. It just kind of crept over me until I realized it was all around me. And it was a great thing, and not a tragic thing, but in a way it was sad. Not sad. It was amusing. It was a huge, I don't know what to describe it as. There are no words to describe it. What happened was, okay, I was like, I want to write that story. I had no idea. I can't believe I wanted to be a filmmaker all those years and didn't know what writers do. So I thought, I'm going to write it. Got on my computer, wrote 13 pages of a story I was thinking about. I probably did a little outlining in my head at least. And 13 pages in, I stopped because I had this wonderful idea that gave me a smile of this guy, who's such a failure, and informed by my own experiences. And I wanted to write about experiences I had, and people I knew, and friends I had, and roommates, and people, friends who I would get in fights with and arguments, and living in, desperate in the suburbs of Northern Virginia. 13 pages in, I got to it. I'm like, first of all, it wasn't moving to me, but I'm like, nothing's happening yet. There's no story here. This is all just set up. I'm 13 pages in. I know that's wrong. And I realized, I have to learn how to write. So then I started watching hours of interviews on Film Courage. I was like, before I even read books on screenwriting, I just have to see what these people say because I don't even know what I'm supposed to learn. I watched interviews for several hours, especially Richard Walter, Eric Edson, probably some John Truby, maybe some Corey Mandel. I would all watch them all after that, but several of them. I think, I watched Jen Grisanti. I pronounced her name weird there. I think I watched Lee Jessup as well, and I've recently been watching different interviews with both of them again, Lee Jessup and Jen Grisanti. But all of them, you know, incredible resumes. I think all of them have been screenwriters. Or Jen Grisanti, she was like a producer for 12 years, or like executive. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get some books and start reading, studying up on this and writing. So that was kind of the start of it. And then I kept learning how I was not learning correctly from there, because I knew I want to build up my skills. I don't just want to write something and think I'm going to make this. I sort of made that mistake and tried to, and it was humiliating and painful when I tried to show it to someone, a script consultant, who said nothing about this is working. And you have three options: you can quit, you can rework this entirely, or just be a director, because I told him I want to be a director, and don't write, and just be like David Fincher. He said, he's like the guy who directed Panic Room. What's his name? David Fincher. And I'm not making fun of him. That's what he said, but he was exactly right. So I'm like, okay, I'll rework this. But anyways, it became a long, as you can imagine, just this many multi-tentacled, you know, creature that, like, or just path that went into so many different directions. And then I went home, and that dream kept getting stronger and stronger with me, to the point where at work, you know, it's more and more of what I could. When I was at the bouncer job at a bar, it's what I could see more and more, and eventually got to the point where I'm like, I'm being a hypocrite by first living in my home, because I want to be bold, I want to go after my dreams. So I had to move into my car to make my filmmaking possible, if only because I needed to save some money. I was going broke every month. My credit card was getting closer and closer to maxing out, and I was barely getting by. And I just could not be doing the same exact routine every day. That was not amenable to filmmaking. I had to be doing something different daily to build up the resilience to be a filmmaker, and the understanding of story and experiences, and understanding people's experiences. That, and like 5 months after I moved into my car, I quit my job as a bouncer. I just realized I have to do this, and I was making enough on YouTube to sort of get by, barely. Since then that went down, but that's gone down. It took a while, but I'm not making videos as much, and it wasn't making them as much with my mom. But anyways, and then that began the homeless odyssey right there. And then it got to a point where it kept getting stronger and stronger, where it's like this dream, where it's like it was telling me in a way, oh, like that same feeling creeping over me. Oh, you have to go to LA. Like, it just, at first it was like this faint vision, like all the roads I'm on. I said it in some live videos I did years ago in my car, like, it's as if every road I'm on is leading to LA, but I'm not ready yet. I want to keep trying in Virginia. Thank goodness it did not work out in Virginia, even though I was crushed when I applied for like one last film job in Annandale that I really thought I wanted, and they didn't even respond, and I thought I was such a good fit, but my application wasn't good. And anyways, whatever. Thank goodness it didn't work out, because that was just one job. This is a million jobs, a million lives, a million dreams. So many wonderful, amazing things here in LA. I just love it. And just everything. I was just thinking that even today, everything is bigger here, larger than life. The streets are bigger, the personalities are bigger that you see on the street, people just expressing themselves, being who they are. I'm like, man, this is the best city in the world. I wouldn't want to be in New York, because that, to me, I've been there, and it's just different. It's a great city too, but not for me to live in. Like, it just not the place for me. What can I say? It was kind of oppressive there for me, like the massive architecture. Whereas here, I just love it. Here it's not oppressive. It's like this amazing thing that's so exciting and grand, and my dreams come from here. My dreams come from these streets, because the movies I watched growing up, many, if not most of them, were shot on these streets here. So, or on stages in LA. But the people here, the imagination, the posters, the billboards, just everything's so much bigger. The mountains are bigger, even the sky's bigger in a way, because there's not as much like different weather patterns here. So you see more of the sky here a lot. Just everything. The beaches are gigantic. They're just enormous. Everything's bigger here. The problems can be bigger too in many ways. Like, I am amazed. I watched my Annandale video once, like a few weeks ago, I'm like, oh, I'm amazed. I thought it was so bad there. Like, I'm glad I did, because it was my truth. You know, it was true for me. But I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so quaint. The problems in Annandale compared to LA. But it was totally valid, and it's totally true. It still holds true for me. It's such a dump, such a desperate, miserable dump. It gives me nightmares practically just to think about it. Someone's burning incense. Smells nice. But it's just so amazing. I just love. I was even just talking to people on the street outside the theater tonight. They were walking by wondering what the theater was. I was telling them what it was and how they're playing Collateral tonight. It's just so clear. Everyone has. They're here to express themselves. They're here to big personalities. That's one thing I found about New York. Yes, there is a ton of that, but you know, it's so the architecture and the mass of people everywhere. It's just something about it for me, at least when I was there, because I've been to LA before I moved here, and even LA I didn't like before I moved here. I didn't get to see much of it because I was always working on videos, but what I saw I didn't like. But I had no real desire to be there. I was like, I was kidding myself by wanting to be in Virginia. I'm like, oh, I'll have a film career here. But you know, glad it all. Well, I'm not. I don't know how to describe. I don't like to sum up anything. I just like that, you know. It's like you take what you want from what I'm saying. But that's basically how I wanted to become a writer. It was that image and of a guy sitting at the end of a parking lot crying after I went out with this girl that I really liked, and you know, it was for the best that it didn't work out. She was a very nice person. There was nothing wrong about her decision, you know. Um, and you know, it was a good experience overall. And but a guy at the end of a parking lot crying, and every movie I've ever wanted to, I was going to say every movie I've ever made, I'm talking like I'm in the future, but yeah, why not, I'll talk like I'm in the future. I saw a time travel movie tonight. Every movie I've ever made has sprung from that image. Every movie I'm making comes from that image of a guy sitting at the end of a parking lot crying, because it's so evocative to me. It's a specific way it was. I don't know if I'll ever film it in a movie. Maybe it'll be my last movie I shoot when I'm 89 or something. Trying to stay super healthy and all that so I can keep directing, when I'm that old, writing and directing. But it's just wonderful, today, like doing what I did, and just nothing I felt bad about it. A lot of times I can get down on myself, but the writing is really what's so uplifting for me. And I just thought I almost like have to share that. I have to tell people about this, you know, great thing for me that, um, you know, it just kind of, I realized I want to do it. It's not something like I decided on. Like being a director, I wanted to direct movies since I was 17. It was kind of something I sort of realized I wanted, but it was definitely something I decided I want to do. Like, these movies that I love are so perfect. If I could do anything, that's what I would do, is direct movies like those. And but when I'm writing, then everything is right, you know. And oh, and I made some new friends today too at the March for Our Lives, so that's really cool too. You know, I met some people I'll stay in contact with. I may see some people I knew, and you know, some people I'll see again. So that was awesome. Um, so yeah, just good experience. And compared to, you know, I go through all kinds of moods. I go through the lowest, not the lowest lately so much, but I have gone through them, and when they come up again, I know how to deal with them better. But sometimes I am like in serious doubt, like what am I doing? Like how did I end up in this? You know, I'm so plagued by, you know, so many things, you know, memories and stuff of just so many problems, you know, being disabled since I was 17, on and off for years. Not straight since I was 17 disabled, but on and off. And even when I was recovered from my depersonalization, derealization disorder, I was not well. I was always teetering on the edge of relapsing so easily. And so my whole life was trying to do this tightrope walk of managing these symptoms to avoid relapsing. And then it was so scary when I would go out with a girl I liked, and I'm like, why am I dissociating like this? I can't feel anything. It was so scary, like, oh, I guess I can't do it. And I really thought like God was doing it to me or something. Thank you very much, Catholic Church, for your screwy, horrible, heinous education. But anyways, I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna get going to sleep. Maybe do a little writing before I sleep. But that was just great. It was, and the biggest, I think, what the biggest thing that made it all possible was I wrote early in the morning without procrastinating. I got my groceries and stuff early this morning at 8 o'clock. Sat down and started writing for 2 hours, and that was the greatest thing for me that I can do, or that is the greatest thing for me I can do is write. So got to keep doing it, maybe a little now, and then I want to get up even earlier tomorrow. Normally I get up at 3:45. I want to get up at like 3 o'clock, so I can do my laundry, exercise, clean the apartment, and do a lot of writing, and then watch a movie or two, and maybe even go back to Brain Dead Studios tomorrow and watch a movie. They have Wild Strawberries playing. I think that's what I want to see. That or oh, I can't remember the name. Strong Axe or something. I don't know if I got the name right. The Steve McQueen film. The director, not the actor. So, anyways, because I was just loving it so much, and sometimes after I see a movie, I'm not in a great mood. Either I didn't like the movie, or even if I don't think it's great, as long as it's inspiring, I had a good time. And but that, or just I don't know what, just plagued by these thoughts. But yeah, I was like, "Ooh, today!" I don't even like saying it like I'm bragging. It was just like writing in the morning. That was the greatest thing I could do in many ways. I never want to totally sum up anything, entirely in its totality. I always leave it open, leave it ambiguous. That's how probably I'll make my movies. But I'm making a statement now too, so that's how I'm not going to make my movie. So I said two opposite things in the same sentence, so you don't know what I'm going to do. Anyways, check out Moist Andy, everyone. He's doing great. He's living in his car. He needs all our support. His drunk dad kicked him out. He's in Northern Virginia, in the areas where I used to live in my car, and he's traveling beyond there. And he's just doing great. And he's 26. I moved into my car when I was 34. So he's doing it younger, and he's never lived on his own. So I'm really glad for him. And he's having great experiences, and I just hope he continues doing that and finds his own way. And check out Vidiverse from Alex Proyas, another inspiring filmmaker. Speaking of inspiring filmmakers like Moist Andy, he is a filmmaker. Alex Proyas, one of my favorite directors, and someone who's been very kind to me and my mom. He's got Vidiverse, where he streams short films that he curates, and he splits the revenue with filmmakers and features as well, and he makes his own short films on there. And he wants to make it a place where filmmakers can get funding to make their original filmmaking there. So check it out, because I'll be on there someday, I'm sure. Never want to be absolute, but I'd like to be on there someday. So anyways, I get going. I've been filming long enough. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.